a Juilliard School of Drama graduate. She made her film debut starring in How She Moved. Now she plays Tara on True Blood, Rutina Wesley. How are you?
I'm good. How's everyone?
She's been on Grey's Anatomy, The New Adventures of Old Christine. She played a waitress on Seinfeld, and now she's a waitress in Bon Ton. Please welcome Laurne Bowles. She's been on The X-Files, NCIS, Bones, and Justified. As a Fantasia waitress, she may hold the record for screaming. Tara Buck.
I'm gonna guess you're gonna hear that all weekend.
And Jim Parrack and Janina Gavankar have gotten delayed, but they will be here, so we're just going to go ahead and start right now. First of all, welcome to Dragoncon. I think this is the first time for all of you. What brought you all here to Dragoncon?
The fan. I was going to say the offer. No, I love coming to conventions like this because I feel like you guys are die-hard. You're the reasons why we still have a job. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's nice to have lights in the house. But it's just nice to come here and feel the love and support. And it's been fun. Like I always have fun here. I have fun at Comic-Con, but like I'm really interested to see what you guys are all about. And what you really think, because you always tell us. Yes, you do. Things we don't even know about ourselves, we get from you guys. Exactly. Or our characters, or impressions that we're giving off and we have no idea that we are. I agree with both of these ladies. I feel like it's so exciting and overwhelming to realize that people like the show and watch the show and care about what we're doing. So, thanks. It's cool.
And we will be taking questions from the audience. We've got two people with microphones, Erica and Sheila, so if y'all just want to kind of line up in the middle of the aisles, we'll take questions in just a little while. It's been a pretty big season this year. What do you think of what's been going on this season?
Scrubs and more scrubs. Elaborate, please. Vamp camp. It's all about Vamp camp this season. Unless you weren't in Vamp camp. Unless you weren't in Vamp camp. I just thought this season's been about survival. Yes, that's what I've said all year, is that this is the season of survival. And the thing that excited me was talking to our new leader, Bucky, Brian Buckner, about sort of returning the show to its roots, which is ultimately about a small town and a small group of people that are all very different and need to learn to coexist together. And that's very exciting to me, because I know as a fan, because I am the lucky, fortunate fan that infiltrated the show. And coming on season 3, and so I certainly know that that's what excited me about the show as a watcher. So, yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
How does that work when you're a fan of the show? Or how do you actually get to be on the show? Do you call somebody up and go, I'd love to be on this show, or just wait for an audition to open up?
Yeah, you pretty much wait. Everyone's like, so what made you take this part? I'm coming off as such a whore, because I'm really like, oh, well, I got the audition, I got the job. That's what made me took it. Take it, but it was, I just got the audition and I went and met the fantabulous Mr. Alan Ball, and he gets to just annoy you. It's his decision, or it was, when he was running it. So yeah, it's total dream come true.
How is that different from the way shows normally work when you've got a strong showrunner like Laurne Bowles who can't just take you like that?
Well, the beauty about it's Alan and then also HBO is that it's really like the Auteur's network. So, if you're on a network show, that's probably about, what would you say, 5 different auditions to get the job, because you have to go to the casting director and then you have to meet the producers and then studio, and it's a long, long process. But at least for me, for usually a job this size, it would have been at least 4 auditions, but it was just one, and Alan said her, and then the studio said, wow, thank you. Go on.
And Tara, your character has been one of the few humans to go to vampire jail. What's that been like?
Fantastic. No, I didn't have to wear the prison uniform. I got to wear a little robe, and it was the most covered I think Ginger's ever been. I eat every day, and no juice. Just exactly. The juice cleanse is incredible. I love when my character, because I just reoccur on the show, I never really know what's going to happen until literally I get a script and I read it and I sort of flip through first to see if I've died. And then after I've done my clip notes and I realize that I am still alive, then I go back and see what I'm actually doing. So when I found out that Ginger had a home, I was really excited. And then when it looked like I got drugged away to hang out with the vampires for the rest of the season, also, you could have asked me to do anything. I was like, yes, I'll be there.
What do you think of the relationship between Ginger and Eric?
I think it's really hot. He did promise you this year you were going to have sex one day, didn't he? Promise. And I'm going to hold him to it. I would like you ladies to as well, and fans, please. Yeah. We'll hold them accountable. You can give me one solid.
True Blood, you have died shortly after turning into Steve Newland.
Yes, all true.
Welcome to Dragoncon.
Thank you!
I'm so excited to be here. I've been driving around. I'm in town working. So yesterday I was driving around and I was starting to see costumes and I was like, it's happening. So I can't wait to take a lot of twin pics. Mythology. Okay. What are we talking about?
Well, first of all, what brought you to DragonCon?
What's your name?
Mike.
Mike.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. What brought me to you guys brought me to DragonCon? The DragonCon brought me to DragonCon. Yay!
What do you think of it so far?
Well, just arrived. Besides being a lawyer from the outside yesterday, seems great. I've watched videos in the past few years, so I'm like, I'm ready.
You actually covered Comic-Con for AOTS.
I did. It's pretty fun.
Attack of the Show?
Yeah, I've heard this is like the non-mainstream version, and there are more costumes. Yeah.
And that alone is kind of selling for you.
Exactly.
I'd say it's a realistic thing.
Yeah, because there's so much originality, and the thing I love about cosplay culture is that there's a lot of pride taken in making your own costumes. I can't do that shit. I do have a glue gun. Be done, so I gotta be very successful with it.
So, Janina, what do you think of what's happened this season? I know your character was killed off in the very first episode, so that kind of sucks.
I thought it was a very complicated season. I was like, have so many favorite moments. One of which is the hug between Arlene, when Arlene's basically like, the second last episode, which was 9, favorite episode of maybe like many seasons. 9 was, you know.
The juxtaposition of the funeral.
Yes.
And the action was pretty cool.
And that's what I love the most about the show, is the juxtaposition between like this loving town that's just trying to be okay, and then the heinous shit that happens when you throw vampires into the mix. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. Although the humans weren't so loverly either.
No, they were the big bad this year with the humans.
Rutina, you've been there since the very beginning, the very first episode. What do you think of Tara's evolution over the years?
Oh man, I think I can say for me it's been the best evolution ever. Like how do you know, you're on a show, you're a human, and all of a sudden you're a vampire. Like it's that rarely happens to actually keep creating your character, sort of change and evolve and transform. It was really cool for me because I felt like, not that Tara was stuck, but I felt like it was nice to have her sort of just shift her energy a bit. Because it's still Tara.
What did you call her? I remember I was like, yeah, vampire. Like, yeah, we called her a possum or something.
She was a wild, angry possum.
Perched on the sink.
Like, you know, she couldn't, she got shot in the head, so it took her a minute to get back around. And then she's just like this black sort of panther that I sort of like molded her into. It's been fun. It's a challenge for me. And when Alan told me, I remember I was very scared. He pulled me aside on set and he said, "Hey, we're really excited, and we hope you will be too." And I was like, "Awesome." And he's like, "Tara's gonna be turned." And I was like, "Huh?" Does that mean I'm dying? Because you only get one more death when you're a vampire. No, you're not dying. And I was like, okay. But I was really nervous because then we have this big break, you know, a hiatus, and they can change and mold to like come back and have my job. So I was very, very nervous. But it's been fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.
We will be taking questions, so Sheila, have you got a line for me? Cool. All right, we'll do that in just a moment. What do you think of Sam going ahead and moving on this quickly?
What do I think, or what do I think Luna would think? Well, I think Luna really just I think she really loved Sam. Truly, fully, completely. And I think all she wants is for him to be happy. Period. Now me. I think you know what I'm saying.
Tell me about that scene where you were turning into Steve Newland. That was just an amazing scene.
That was a crazy day. We were in that room. So much went down in that room that day on set. Because not only did I shift, so we had that whole, like, okay, what are you going to do physically? And what, I have to mimic your actions, but now I have hair and the flipping and the blood. But Sam also exploded a vampire head. And all of the elements that were involved with making that happen. And then he was covered in blood for a long period, completely naked, well, you know, socks. And completely bloody. So it was a long day. Poor guy. But what do I remember? I mean, he was so nervous about that.
Was he? He was. Oh, not Sam. Sorry, McMillan.
Yeah, he was
nervous about that, and someone had suggested that he actually talked to Sam because obviously he's done it all, but also I don't know if you guys noticed, but at the read-throughs, he often, whoever can't show up, he'll read their part. He's an insane mimic.
Like crazy
He reads Eric. I will never forget. This is a true story. I didn't look up, and the table's huge, and the read-throughs are crazy, and so I didn't look up. It wasn't until halfway through the read-through that I realized it wasn't Alexander. I'm not joking. So someone had said, talk to Sam, he'll walk you through, and so I think he was very nervous about it.
Oh my God. And then I did the same thing I did with Sam, which was we went into a room and I had him videotape me doing the scenes if I were to do them. And then I just went hands off, whatever you want to do. I'm never going to take offense. You know, if you want to swish like Sam did, it's all right. And yeah, and then I think it turned out okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Sheila.
Good morning. My question is for Tina. Whose character has kind of, since the beginning, been kind of an angry character. Do you ever get criticized or have you have attitude for most of the show?
Yeah, all the time. And actually, people think that's how I am in real life. People come up to me and they meet me and they're like, "I thought you were gonna be mean." I'm like, "Such a bitch." And they're like, "Yeah, because I'm not her." I think Tara's incredibly defensive and also incredibly insecure. She's a wounded, animal, wounded little girl who had one of the roughest childhood. There's no father in the picture. So there's a reason why she is the way she is. I think she's starting to see the world a little bit differently and accept things more and sort of kind of take a step back. But I always felt like Tara, when she talks, she's like the voice of reason. Like she tells you what she thinks and she tells you how it is. And she's usually pretty straight up about stuff. And I like that about her. I like that she's sort of feisty and on edge, but I also love her vulnerability and her sensibility. I think that's the part of Tara that's interesting to see when she sort of lets her mask that and make us see her heart and she is, even the essence of her.
Tell me about that scene in the final episode of this season where Tara is drinking from her mother. That was just so creepy and amazing.
I thought that was beautiful.
It's hard to talk about that scene because I love Adina, of course. She's amazing. And she makes me like I have to be at 150% top of my game. She brings out the best in me as an actor. It was so nice to be back to my mother and have that sort of connection. I don't know where it's going to go because it's like, is she telling the truth? Is she telling the truth? I know some people have been speculating that she might be infected, and so there's all this stuff. I'm like, ooh, I didn't even think about that. I might be dead. I'm like, oh shit. But I will tell you this, when we did the read-through, when we went to rehearse that scene, we were a mess. Because we hadn't seen each other in a while, and it was just, we were a mess. And I remember the director was like, we should have just taped that rehearsal. I was like, yeah, because I don't know if I can recreate what I just did. It was a great night, and just nice to be back with something that's familiar to me, because I've missed working with her.
Yeah.
So,
And Jim Parrack, good morning. Welcome back to Dragoncon. So, Hoyt's not dead. He could come back.
Yeah.
Would you like him to come back?
Well, yeah. I mean, it would just have to be a matter of, I don't know. Everybody being nice when you get back. I don't think I can do it again. If I don't know.
People were nice to Hoyt.
Yeah, to Alaska for a reason.
Yeah.
If you're from the South, you don't go to Alaska. A really, really good reason to go to Alaska, so if there was a really good reason to come back, I'd go.
But see, hasn't he technically forgotten that they were mean?
Well, I forgot about two people being.
Yeah.
pretty good case for it.
What do you think of how all that turned out, with Hoyt asking Jessica to wipe his mind and going to Alaska?
Yeah, I thought it was really good writing. I thought what I liked best about it was that it was an opportunity to, at the beginning of the series, we made a deliberate effort to make Hoyt like a child, or somebody who was stunted socially, at least, in their understanding of things. And by the end of it, I'd become enough of a man that I could make a decision for myself. Nobody jumped out of a tree and killed me or kidnapped me or something. And, it was for actors. That's the cool thing, is to take the trip from one place to another. And so when I read it, I wasn't upset about not being on the show or anything. I just thought, this is so good. This is such good writing, because we made that whole trip. So, and then the trip to Alaska.
And since the show, you've been working with James Franco, have you?
I guess you could call it work.
An adaptation of a William Faulkner?
Yeah, we did As I Lay Dying. You know that book? We did that in Jackson, Mississippi last September, and it's incredible. James is an interesting guy in a lot of ways, but that material is so difficult. If you've ever read the book, there's 59, I think, different perspectives that the story gets told through, and I think that's part of why nobody had ever wanted to make a movie out of it. And James found a really inventive way to make it clear and to keep it moving the way that a film does. And Danny McBride's in it, Logan Marshall Green's in it, Anna O'Reilly's in it, Beth Grant's in it, Tim Blake Nelson, Tim Blake's all up in it. It's beautiful. It's going to be great.
Do you know when it's going to hit theaters?
I think September 26th. Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty limited release, but Millennium's putting it out, and it went to Cannes this year, and the French like it. So.
And Janina, you have gotten a role on another vampire show.
It's like all these vampire shows. I did one before I did True Blood, too. The Gates. And it lived, then it died. It's like I'm going to just keep going from one to the next, but I'm never going to play a vampire on any of them. Did I just say some shit? Maybe I don't know. Maybe they didn't even tell me. Yeah, I'm here doing Vampire Diaries, which shoots it at night. And I'm someone from someone's past. I'm just going to speak really vaguely so I don't screw up. But there is a lot to reveal. And the first time you see my character is episode 3, which I believe they talked about at Comic-Con. It's like a special episode, so now we'll see.
And Sheila, or no, Erica.
Hi, good morning, thanks for coming. As you know, True Blood is one of those shows that nudity is a way of life. Now, in past panels, when they talked about it, they talked about the concentration that they had to have to be able to work in close proximity with somebody else's, naked or whatever. But they didn't mention anything where they had any lapses in concentration and just started busting up. If any of you experienced that?
I want the dirt. Yeah. I think the second, it's not even 10:30 yet. This dude's like, tell me about nudity. I love how he tried to be as classy as possible. Commendable.
Thank you all for coming. What's it like to see Chip naked?
I think there's some of us who are freer than others.
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm not looking at. I don't mean that to be you. There's a specific person that I'm thinking of.
Oh
There is a scale of freedom for sure. A certain person who just walks
person.
No, I want to know who that is.
I think everybody knows. Yes. I think it's fine. We have to have a certain, respect for each other and a certain, sense of professionalism when we work with each other. And we're such a big family on the show that we don't think nothing of it. It's just like we just do our jobs and then we go home. There's definitely boundaries. You talk about the scene so you know what you're doing, what you're touching, what you're kissing, but like everything is kind of planned out. But then you also have freedom in that, so that's not stale. You know what I mean? But it's it's fun. I mean, nudity comes with the show. I wouldn't call it fun. Well, maybe I'm calling it fun because I have yet to. Yeah, maybe.
Do the full Monty.
I haven't done it.
But you and I have both been in situations where there have been many other people very naked around us, right? Were you guys involved with the? Because
I was in the orgy madness.
You were in the orgy madness.
Where there are all kinds of people in the background, and
some high-ass vampires.
Yeah. That's what they just keep doing. This extra that goes on.
that extra,
Bring it up. I wasn't there.
I've only had the privilege of being naked with Mr. Chris Bauer in bed once, and that's been the extent of my nudity on the show.
How was that?
But two things struck me about it. One is how normal, we were literally just, in between takes, talking about public school versus private, very mundane, our spouses, our kids, and drinking our coffee. Literally, I forgot who was, I think Daniel Minahan was the director. He was like, watching this is a whole new post-coital you guys have going on. But the thing that really struck me was the sock, you guys, it has a little bow on. It's worse than, just be naked. I mean, we've all seen them before.
Yeah, it's
almost this sock is really, the bow's gotta go. They gotta go.
Yeah. Well, they have to have some elastic to make it stay as tight, I guess. And then, but see, they get elastic, and we get the double-sided sticky tape.
It's
Snatch
so
patch.
awesome.
I love Anna P for calling it the snatch patch. I think that's
hot socks and snatch patches. That's what it is.
I had a day when you snort? Have you ever? Have you ever had to do this business?
The sock thing is the most degrading thing in the
It's bad.
So they bring in a platter of socks, so you choose.
So of course you can pick the biggest one.
Somebody brought in a platter, like a velvet.
Yeah, when you know how you go get engagement rings.
Absolutely, that's absolutely what they do. And there were 3 varieties of socks laid out. One with, straps, one with a cinch thing, and then one there to there. No exaggeration. So if you don't pick the 4-foot fucking sock, then you feel like a jerk. So I agree. I would just rather go naked. It would be less humiliating to be naked.
This is the best panel ever.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Sheila.
Good morning. Welcome to Atlanta. My question is for all of y'all. Because even if you're dead or in Alaska, you may come back, you never know. For the next season, where would you like to see your characters go? It is entirely up to you.
Straight to bed with Eric. Straight to bed with Eric. Jim?
I'm curious definitely to see what's going to happen with me and my mother. But I'd actually like to see Tara have a relationship that doesn't go sour. I miss Sam, but that's probably not going to happen. This is weird. Probably a shifter and a vampire, but that could be interesting. But I miss her having something like some sense of stability and like love in her life. You know, she really adores Pam. She really, really does. But I just feel like that's just not gonna. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen. So it's kind of sad.
Pam has some intimacy issues. I don't know
Right.
if you guys
And she's in love with that. You know.
Yes, of course. I'd love to get back to some of Holly's Wiccan ways. I've been asked every everyone's like, so sort of throughout the season, well, are we going to see any more witchcraft? I knew the answer was no, but I couldn't say it. So I was like, well, she's focusing more on her personal relationship, which has been great. And I certainly love playing with the divine Mr. Chris Bauer, so I hope that continues to blossom. But it would be fun to sort of get a little Wiccan on your all asses. Yeah, you just want to sleep with Eric. That's right.
I mean, I really love the forecast this next season and the relationship between humans and vampires, and obviously Ginger's totally signed up for that. But I'd like to see more of Ginger's personal love life, and all joking aside.
Does she remember any of it?
I think she has a whole very strange day life. Yeah, when she's not at Fantasia, and I'd like to see some of it. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Luna's dead. I think she is. I'm pretty sure she is, because nobody's called me. So, but I'm also not waiting around for the call. I mean, if for some reason she like woke up and she was like, now you're a mayor and you're a dad, that's great for you, Sam. So, you know, if she woke up and had to kind of deal with wherever he was at, I would love to see that. But, you know, I don't know. I was just like, nobody buried her. She just like, what, did she decompose on the ground? You know, I try not to think too much about it because also I found out I was going to die way before I did. So but I was okay. I was so okay with it. I didn't even think I was going to get through one season, you know. I was like, none of Sam's girls make it. So I'm definitely not making it until the end of the season. And then they were like, oh, you're coming back. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely not making it to the end of the season. So I'm so happy already. So anything else would just be icing. Yeah, he said everything. Next question.
All right, please forgive me. I haven't seen the last 3 episodes.
Asshole.
I'm gonna turn this back on you. I'm a soldier and I was deployed.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Seriously though, I guess when I started watching the show, you know, I really identify with Bill Compton's. I'm sorry, this is a question for everybody, and it's going to take a minute, sorry. But she owes me. So, but you know, when I first started watching the show, you had Bill Compton kind of struggling with his humanity versus his vampire side. And it just seems like, and I was right there with him. I'm like, oh, vampires are kind of like people too. But it's just with every season, it just seems like I'm having less and less empathy for any of the vampire characters. And I'm just wondering, is that something like, you're talking about public and private school, like, is that something the actors get together and be like, yeah, vampires are kind of dicks? You know, I don't know. I'm just wondering if any of y'all, especially since, you know, a lot, if not all these characters have been affected by vampires in some way, if there's some kind of, maybe something you're bringing up to the writers or producers or, I don't know, if you can pull anything from that, just, you know.
I always feel like, if I could just jump in, I mean, you know, since Ginger is a fangbanger and a vampire groupie, I sort of feel like I work for rock stars. It's like working for Mick Jagger. And I believe the vampires are in their ego stage at the moment, but I think they may come back. There's still, a whole arc there. They've just been, overrun with a little bit too much popularity or something, and went straight to their head.
I just think it's interesting to watch. To me, like, there's still their thread of humanity that's in them, and it's in constant battle with their desires. Like, watching Jessica this year, really, I think, genuinely feel bad for killing Andy's daughters. But in the moment, she couldn't control herself. So sort of seeing them give in, and then sort of the human part of them deal with the after effect of whatever actions they've taken. To me, that's an interesting struggle that's sort of relatable to all, because we all sort of have our will and what we would like to do, and then what we end up doing. So, I don't know, I think that's what you play, Lauren. What do you think?
I feel like Tara's less of an asshole now. That Tara's less of an asshole. Like, I feel like I've seen her deal with her shit more as a vampire than she did when she was walking around as a human.
Yeah, I would agree. And I also think, Tara still has that struggle of being a human, her human emotions and how she feels versus her the instincts of being just a vampire. I think she struggles with that too. I don't know.
Well, Tara hasn't been a vampire that long. Do you think if she's a vampire longer, she's going to get more amoral, more...
I don't know, because she was turned against her will, so I don't know if she'll ever kind of... she's starting to relax into that a bit. She has to. She has no choice. Or go to another tanning bed and try to kill herself. I think, she's going to have to deal with it, and I think she's happy with it, but I also think there's something about it that I think she misses being human. Because there's so many constant reminders. You have Suki, I have a mom, I have a legit for my life that remind me of my old sort of self.
Yeah.
But I think she really digs the power and the strength of being a vampire and the things that she can do. Like if someone calls out at the map with some racist comments, she can just throw them across the room. That's great. And she's like, what? And what? Now what you gotta say? And I love that. And I think she likes that too. So.
Do you think she's going to be closer to Suki in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I would like to get back to that. I miss working with her. I think that relationship is very important, actually, because you saw the two of them together from the beginning as sisters, as best friends who grew up together. And then, she basically tried to save my life, so to speak. And you never really, I feel like we didn't really have enough, we still hadn't had enough of a life. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about what happened and why you did that. Sort of. But I think Tara's kind of bigger than her. I'm also interested to see her and Lafayette have that talk too. Because he was actually the one who brought it up. But, I hope we get back to that. That would be nice.
Briefly. First, thank you for your service. And also, having sort of fallen in love with a vampire, I think they're pretty fucked up. Because I tried to really say in the beginning, hey, they're like other people and everything else, and the show is proving as it unfolds that they're not. It doesn't mean that there aren't good ones, I guess, but it seems like they're pretty good at messing things up for people, at least. So I guess if you like people, it might be hard to like them.
Well, now there's going to be a line. Everybody's going to have to pick one, right? So there's going to have to be some real understanding, some kind of alliance. And not just sort of we're all going to be okay. It's a one-on-one relationship kind of thing, right? It's like a new spouse almost. So, I don't know. You have to deal with it.
Having to deal with people that you have nothing in common with, and you don't want to
It's all social commentary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you guys vote for Janina to be on the card this year? Or?
That's really nice of you, by the way. Which one am I, the dragon or the chick?
Snatch patch. It's a lovely snatch patch.
That's about right, actually.
Sheila.
Hi guys, it's my first Dragoncon too, so excited to be here and see you guys, so thank you for being here. My question is, as a fan of the show and watching it evolve, the last couple of seasons it's really been like different storylines happening at the same time. And Terry, you kind of touched on this, or I'm sorry, Tina, you touched on this. You haven't really had the relationship with other characters. When you guys are all together and love it, and everything's kind of happening at the same time with your all storylines, like it kind of happened at the end. I think we're going to see, it seems to me like they're all coming back together. It's going to be like we're all going to work together again. It's really been kind of separated. How has that been for you these past couple of seasons? Like, are you in the retreat and you're like, oh, what's going on with you? Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Has that kind of been the dynamic with you guys these past couple of seasons? And are you happy that it's going to be all together again?
I think I know. I am actually. I miss working with everybody. I miss seeing everyone's face at work. We usually don't get to see each other until the table reads, and that's the exciting part for me because then I get to hear, you know, my fellow actors kind of read their parts. I know what they're going to do, and then we just go off on our own kind of things, and I don't see it until the finished product. So it's been weird. It has been sort of a lot of balls in the air and kind of all over. But I think what's been great about that is, for the most part, I think everyone has had a really great arc through that. Everyone's gotten a really great little thing to sort of challenge them and work on. And it hasn't just been about one person. I mean, I kind of look at it the last couple of seasons as like an ensemble show. I still look at it as an ensemble show, where we all get we all get to do something, you know, great with our characters. We don't just get to sit in the background. And I like that Alan and now Lucky is sort of keeping that going.
I know, I'm super excited because I feel like, because I came on season 3 and so that division sort of already was in place, so there's lots of people I haven't worked with. So I'm super excited. It's the same experience as Rutina, where you really just sort of see people at the table read, then you go off and each do your own little movie. So yeah, I can't wait to sort of see how this is coming together. And I think it just makes for just much better drama. There's just so many more possibilities for all kinds of awesomenesses to happen.
Yeah, don't say what. For the longest time, for the most part, I work with Kristen and Alex, and yet, if I think back to season 1, actually every season I do sort of get, you know, Lafayette or Hannah, or like little moments, yeah. So it has been great, but like they said, the only time I see anyone really outside of those two is at a table read. So
Or panels.
Or panels, right? Or like somewhere random. So it is fun to have a chance to actually get this work with.
I remember I was on the lot last year for something, and I saw Bucky, and I was like, oh, Catman? And he was like, they're calling me Machete. Because there's so many people died, he must have just been like mercilessly. So, which is great though, because it's going, and everybody's going to have to deal with each other. And that's fun.
Erica.
Hello again. As a vampire, your powers and your strength.
I thought he was speaking about himself. As a vampire, I feel that. Oh, shit.
As a vampire.
This is the day they come out of the coffin.
I am a big fan of vampires. I'm a big fan of vampires. I've seen practically every vampire movie in existence. And vampires have always been strong, powerful, and egotistical. And the reason for it is because of that like godlike complex, because they could be killed, not normally. So, but their greatest power was their anonymity. No one knew who they were. They just scoffed it off like there's no such thing. So no one was prepared. And now in this day and age, like Tara's character, or the character Tara, is a brand new vampire in an age where she's not so sick, she's not so powerful as she was before, and now we have to find common ground. Now, how do you feel about what kind of common ground between the vampires or I guess the differences, the shapeshifters, vampires? How do you feel that the show might progress towards inequality, so to speak, between the different races?
Just sort of like, how is it going to go towards humans and vampires sort of kind of mingling together? Is that what you're?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, sooner or later, you have to reach a certain equality, or you have a war and you kill each other. I mean, that's nature.
Well, yeah, they need each other, right? So, just the necessity of like survival, right?
Yeah, I think now it seems like probably maybe they need us as much as we're going to need them.
My question is, is like the 9-to-5 job going to have to change from like 3 p.m. to, like, I feel like humans are going to have to start sleeping in and staying up late to make this thing happen.
To feed these babies?
You guys are going to have a lot of night shoots next year. I apologize for you.
That's the one thing I miss about being a human, though, because I'm like, oh, I get my days. I shoot during the day, and now being a vampire, it's like, and I don't sleep. I just shoot all night long. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like there's a lot of night shoots, and your schedule's all thrown off, and But
do you guys understand what a night shoot? Have you ever heard? Who's heard of the word Saturday? Okay, so one of the things people don't, and by the way, we only work, some of the days of the episode. The crew does this every week, okay? So your normal call time is 6 a.m. on Monday. But by Friday, you're already in a night shoot. So that means you show up to work as the sun is setting. So you're in the makeup chair like 4:30 in the winter, like 4:30. And then you don't get home until the sun is up on Saturday morning. So every week, the crew members have really only a day and a half off because they're back at work. So that's the thing, a lot of people don't know. I always like to tell everybody, like, you think about us, but think about every crew member on the show. They work their asses off. They're amazing. They're the people you need to be talking to.
That's hands down the best crew. The crew is as talented as the very best movie crews I've ever been around. They're more cheerful often than everybody, and it doesn't matter the weather or the hours or anything. They found a way, each of them, to make a bond with the performers and the actors so that we are comfortable, supported, relaxed, and I think it's the best crew I've ever been around, no exaggeration. They're so phenomenal. By the way, did you guys switch from film to digital this year?
No, I don't think so.
All right. I watched it on the funny looking TV then. I caught an episode and it was on the TV and I was like,
It does look different this year.
It looks different, right?
Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
Maybe HBO changed their feed.
There's something different. I don't know what it is.
Still filming.
But they're still filming,
Okay.
for sure. I mean,
Okay.
they can't really look on all of the, you can tell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're still,
Yeah, okay.
It's a different show.
I think it was Vampire Diaries.
That's what it was.
Sheila.
Hi there. I wanted to know for everybody, what's been your favorite scene or storyline?
There was a snafu earlier.
Of our own characters or others?
Oh, your own.
Okay.
My favorite scene, off the top of my head, is being turned. But that fucking kitchen scene where I got to like jump over the refrigerator, like hurt like a gargoyle. Like I had so much fun, and I actually got to do all of that. Like that was me jumping over. Like I got to do all the like stunts and stuff, so it was really cool. But that was my favorite because I just like it didn't matter what I did. I could make a mess. It's awesome. And I have to do it the same way each time. It was great. So that's my favorite.
Mine is so weird. It was getting to drink margarita, although I love anything I get to do with Chris Bauer, but I did really love drinking those Cajun margaritas with Carrie and Nelson. Yes. Right before I burped those babies that weren't mine. But we just kept going. We were joking. We were like, this could be a movie, because we were just improvising and drinking those Slurpees that didn't have any tequila in them, sadly. But anyway, I know it's hard. But yeah, we were just going off, so that we decided that could have been its own show, just that little 3-second
I'd watch
scene
it.
in the alley there, right?
On HBO Go.
Extra content.
I loved working when I shot Lafayette in season 2. It was just such a fun scene, and that was really where the screaming kind of took off for the first time. And it wasn't.
And you've regretted it ever since. You had no idea what you were starting.
So true. But it was so fun. We just had a great time. And actually, Bucky was directing that episode, or he wasn't directing, he wrote that episode, so he was, like running that particular one. And it was just fun. Great time. Nelson is awesome.
Yeah. He actually has my favorite scene. And then, okay. So, when he's like he's just been thrown in the dungeon, he's now in Eric's office, and he says, "Turn me." That moment when he does the scene, he's like, "Turn me." I've been glamoring people my whole life, or basically, he's so fucking amazing in that scene. Okay, my favorite scene quickly is, because we're running out of time, is not because we were naked, but when we're laying out, basically Sam and Luna's first scene together, that was my first real day of work on this show. And I was so scared. I was like, first fucking day, I'm freezing my ass off, I'm completely naked, I don't fucking know anybody who's gonna be there. Anyway, so we worked out the scene, and then, but I at some point went, I feel like I'm schmacting my ass off. I feel like I'm in a telenovela. I feel, this is not right. And Scott, who was directing that episode, went, all right, come over here. And he took the time with Sam and I to rework the entire scene quickly. But I was like, holy shit, they can on this show. Oh my God, they spend time rehearsing and talking and caring. And that was like the best thing that could have ever happened to me on a day like that. And then you should know, because it's just like, make your day, guys. Come on, we gotta go. They don't care, They care so deeply on True Blood, and that's very nice for me. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think meeting Jessica at the restaurant there. I like that. Yeah.
All right, we've got time for one more quick question.
Thanks for being here. A big part of Dragoncon is costuming. I'm just wondering if any of you do any costuming, and if so, what costumes?
4-foot socks.
I'm so sorry. I missed the question.
If you do cosplay, what would you?
Janina knows the terms. She said cosplay.
Since I was 10, you mean? Like what?
No, now.
Today.
Well, when we were at Comic-Con in San Diego, Deb and I were Axe Cop and Telescope. I was Telescope Gun Cop with our mustaches and everything. It was pretty epic. But now Portal is my favorite video game. So, I just haven't done it, but I really just need to go get like an orange jumpsuit and make it happen. Yeah.
I'd really like to rock out Daenerys this year. Anybody has some good ideas, come talk to me. I'd like to
There are a few
figure out
moves
how
that can help you, I'm sure.
I don't do a lot, but I was a year and a half ago, I was a pirate wench. That was fun. dress up as much as I should. I used to like to dress up a lot when I was a kid, but I think I should get back to that because it kind of, yeah, right? It's kind of, it's free. Sort of just throwing a thing and gonna go around doing
Jim's got one. Just go.
Nina's insisting that I say it.
I don't know what it is, but you have
know
to
what
say
to
it.
say either, but I like put on a hoodie and take black face paint and just make one stripe like that down one side of my face.
Who is that person?
And I don't do it for any particular occasion. I'm not kidding. I do it and sometimes just walk around my neighborhood like that. I really do. Find a picture and post it.
I do have a 4-year-old, and I tend to be her Barbie head a lot. And so she does paint me quite often and do my hair. And one time I really said to her, you know I get paid for this. And she looked at me kind of blankly.
Thank you all so much for coming out. We'll have 2 more.